Welcome to the 49-Yard Dash podcast, a podcast on your struggling San Francisco 49ers. I am unfortunately your host, Stephen Ellis, and I'm joined now and weekly by my good friend, Josh LaFond, who, again, you can find at gbmwolverine.com, where Michigan is having a better season than our 49ers. So if you want to read about a team that has won more than 3 games, check out his website. But first, at least other Harbaugh days. Oh, yeah. At least
All
other
back
than
to the
the
good old days.
49ers record. How you doing, my man?
The reason I'm using a virtual background right now, I don't want to give away my location, but I'm currently outside Kyle Shanahan's house. No threats are being made as of yet, but I did finish watching the episode of The Office where Michael and Dwight go to visit David Wallace, and that's the situation we're in right now. And
Yes.
I'm not leaving until the resolution's met.
Digging through the trash, finding coffee grounds.
This is an investigation at work. You think Harbaugh is looking at the scoreboard? No, he's looking right up at Kyle's house. Me and him are tag team in this investigation, and we're going to get to the root of the problems. And if we don't find the problems, and the problems result with Kyle Shanahan, we'll find a buyout number that's suitable for both sides.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, this is an absolute low for the season. I think we can all agree on that. In a game where me and you both picked the 49ers to win because they were missing Kyler Murray, who's their most important player, DeAndre Hopkins, who's probably their best player. Of course, they're missing J.J. Watt. Really, looking back at the first time that they played, probably the 3 most impactful players for the Cardinals in the first time was probably Kyler, Hopkins, and J.J. Watt. And those were the 3 guys that they were missing today. Yeah. And the 49ers got blown out. And 31-17 doesn't even really speak to it.
No.
It was an embarrassment of a performance. They didn't play great on either side of the ball. And it was horrible. And now they're sitting at 3-5 after we were kind of optimistic. They beat Chicago, and it seemed like maybe they had found some stuff. Whatever positive things that they found, they threw down the drain for this game.
Yeah, 49ers dropped to 0-4 at home.
Yep.
Colt McCoy goes 22 for 26, 249 yards and a touchdown. That's better than what he did at Texas when they were contending for national championships under Mac Brown. James Conner, the one-time cancer survivor and Pittsburgh Steeler, goes for 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a long run of 35. You get in second-year running back Eno Benjamin, who has done nothing for Arizona. He gets 9 for 39. And the worst stat of all, to me, it's the Colt McCoy again. It's not just the 249 yards. It's the 7 carries for 23 yards. Those, I can assure you, were not designed runs. In fact, I watched several of them live, and they were all missed tackles. Colt McCoy was able to scramble on them, and he's slower than molasses. So it was a rough game.
James Conner also had 77 receiving yards. So James and a receiving touchdown. So James Conner ran all over them.
Mm-hmm. And James Conner's not even a receiving back; he's a power back. He even in college at ironically enough, played at Pitt, University of Pittsburgh Panthers, and then he played for the Steelers. He wasn't known for receiving; he was known as a power back. He's a bell cow back, but he's a power back. Mm-hmm. So 77 yards, man. Especially that one long screen. Was it like almost 45 yards? I believe it was.
Yeah, when it goes 45.
Yeah, it's insane that a guy who the Steelers let go and a perennial backup quarterback shredded them. And the worst part of it all is they dropped 0-4 at home. So
can't even win at Levi Stadium.
Can't.
Yeah, it's definitely a low in the season because, again, last week after beating the Bears, we were talking about how a win against Arizona looks good because even if you drop the Rams game, you got a favorable schedule following that. Because you got Jacksonville and Minnesota, and Cincy and Atlanta, even though Cincy's been pretty good. But
Yep.
it
Well, we
looked
talked about him having to
favorable.
win 10 out. Yeah, we talked about him having to win 7 out of 10, and we were counting the Cardinals as a win going away.
Yeah, and that was really the game. Like, the Cardinals have been great this year, but they're going to be missing Kyler. You have to get that game. And Colt McCoy effortlessly tore them up. It was sad.
I think it's the tail of the tape is Colt McCoy. Not only based on the stats, because his QBR actually was less than Jimmy Garoppolo's, ironically enough. He only had a QBR of 63.8. Jimmy's was almost 67. But the worst part about it all, Colt McCoy looked better than Jimmy Garoppolo. These are both guys that have been in the league for a similar amount of time. Colt's been in there a little bit longer, but he's a backup quarterback, man, and he looked better than what the 49ers are sticking with right now. It's a shame. We've talked often about at what point they should have went to Trey, and you have to think if they'd went to him early, they'd be in a better spot than now. They wouldn't be 0-4 at home, I can assure you of that. It might be a similar record, maybe 4-4. Maybe those 3-5 are just laid out different. It might be the same record, but the team would show some life right now, man. Jimmy's stat line, 326 and 2 touchdowns, looks deceiving. Very deceiving.
Yeah, I actually didn't think he played bad. But obviously he didn't make enough plays to win the game either. And that's what you want out of a franchise quarterback. And the thing is, I know Arizona's defense is much improved, but it's funny when me and you were doing game previews, we were saying how Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't need to put up a bunch of points. But if you're a guy, if you are a dude, a franchise dude, you should be able to hang with Colt McCoy. And I know the 49ers defense had a really bad day, but you should be able to put up more than 17.
Yeah.
On the defense missing J.J. Watt. Because J.J. Watt's actually had a really good year.
No, he has. He's rebounded. People called him washed up, but he's rebounded. The thing with Jimmy, I disagree with the point that he didn't play bad. It's another tail of the tape. If you look at the stat line, 326, that seems like a great game from Jimmy. It was typical Jimmy Garoppolo game. He was missing high in a lot of stuff, throwing behind guys, and then the last interception of the game. He's been in the league 8 years, man, and you throw it into. It boggles the mind of what he saw in that play. For those of you listening along with us, that one interception, it was at a crucial point of the game. 49ers looked like they probably weren't going to have a chance, but at least could get themselves in position, maybe scoring at an onside kick, and he throws it into an area where they're dropped in the zone. So there's no way his man's getting open. There's nowhere for him to sit in zone coverage. There's no defender to throw it over or throw next to or lead his receiver. He throws it into an area where there was 4 defensive backs in the area. That's the decision he made. And this is an 8-year veteran. At the crucial point of the game, this isn't just early in the game. This is the coup de grace moment where if they've got a chance of tying this game up, maybe even winning it, they have to score on this drive. And he goes with the one shot that he could not take. There was no chance in Hades that was ever going to be open. You throw that pass 100 times, this guy's never going to catch it. But that's the predicament you're in now. And not to derail this because I know it already is, but Kyle is stuck with Jimmy because he feels as though this team is in a Super Bowl window and he wanted a steady hand. And the steady hand you got didn't give you yards that were worth a crap. 326 didn't add up to nothing. 17 points. That's not great. And he makes the decision at the crucial point of the game to end any chance of winning that. And that's not just one time that's happened. That's what we've seen out of Jimmy Garoppolo's entire career with the 49ers, especially this season. At crucial moments, he folds. So not really surprising to see this happen.
I will say you do have to add too, though, that on 2 drives where the offense moved the ball downfield, he had 2 fumbles that obviously aren't his fault. Kittle actually fumbled, which is rare, and then Ayuk fumbled. So you do have to take that into account too. And then with the interception, I guess at that point, I had lost all hope, so I didn't really care. But obviously, it was a horrible throw and a horrible decision. And you don't want to see that at an 8-year veteran. And if he's going to be making stupid mistakes like that, then why aren't you playing the rookie? You can't be worried about rookie mistakes if Jimmy Garoppolo is also making rookie mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what me and you have said this entire season, actually, is they say don't play the rookie because if you're a team contending for playoffs, which now they don't look to be, but at the time, then you don't want someone who's inconsistent. Jimmy Garoppolo is inconsistent.
Yeah, it's not just about the inconsistency. It's the fully critical moments. There's only been a handful of times where Jimmy started the game and just looked like crap. I can think about the Eagles game. He didn't look good in that game. But you think back to the Packers game, he did lead him on a drive, but at critical moments throughout that game, he couldn't get it done on 3rd down. They did not 3 and out, but they did stall out in situations where they needed to pick up downs, pick up yards, get in range to score. That's kind of been the tale of the tape for him his entire career here. And again, I cannot say this enough. The 326 is so deceiving. In my mind, it's such a rare deal that Kittle and Ayuk both fumble. But they shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. The 12 passes he missed were once again, and I'm speaking out of the side of my neck because I don't have the play chart in front of me, but they felt like they were critical moments. I remember one in particular, watching it live, missing Sanu on a pass that he should have hit and would have got him down inside the red zone. Just again, missed him high. And then you think back to that interception. It just feels like at critical moments with this guy, he doesn't get it done. And these yards are so deceiving because if you're just a stat line guy, it's like, oh, we threw for 326. Man, that's actually pretty decent. That should have been enough to win. Obviously, the defense let them down, or it was the fumbles that led to it. But no, it was at critical moments. They stalled out. And these yards don't add up to anything, but you can't get the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And what's funny is about the Ayuk fumble is when Garoppolo threw that, I thought, good Lord, that's probably going to be a pick. But Brandon Ayuk skied, and it took every inch of those super long arms to grab that ball because it was so high. And I thought, man, Ayuk just saved an interception. And then Ayuk fumbled it immediately after. That was pretty interesting there. But I don't even care to go too deep into this game, honestly. It was an embarrassment. It's one that I think you pretty much burned the tape. But overall, what is wrong with the 49ers? I have some ideas, but go for it.
I'm going to stick with the Jimmy Garoppolo train because I'll bring it back to that. But just to read you the stat line, because I disagree respectfully with you saying you didn't think he had a great game. Because here's the issue. 49ers first drive of the play, 3rd and 10. Jimmy Garoppolo sacked. They punt. Second punt of the game. Jimmy Garoppolo passed incomplete short on a 3rd and 15 to Debo. Didn't throw it to the sticks. Incomplete short on 3rd and 15, but missed that pass. And we had the fumble, 49ers score. The next punt here is 24-7, Arizona. Jimmy Garoppolo passed incomplete deep to Mohamed Sanu, 3rd and 19. That's the pass I'm talking about. It wasn't quite to the red zone. I misremembered that, but he did miss him high in a pass that he should have just hit. There was no point in trying to throw it, leading him. He had his guy on him, but Sanu was open enough, could have done it. And then we get to, lastly, one more punt. Jimmy Garoppolo on 3rd and 13, once again, throws the check down, incomplete to George Kittle. And then lastly, the 3rd and 5, he throws a interception, blanketed, pass intended for Debo in quadruple coverage. That's the issue right now. I don't know if I saw Grant Cohn talk about.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure. No. Yeah, so Grant Cohn talked about maybe Kyle Shanahan's lost the team. I don't know if that's the case. I really doubt that. But I do think when you've got a defense that's been banged up, as we know, all year, for whatever reason, they're not playing the rookies. I can guarantee you Ambry Thomas is not any worse off than Drake Kirkpatrick.
Right.
Where in the world is Lenore? They got Hufanga some run, obviously, but that's just due to injuries. They're not playing these young guys. They're getting screwed by Drake Kirkpatrick every game. I don't know if they've lost the team, but I do feel like when you've got a defense that's banged up and they just feel like when I read off those stats, Jimmy's yards don't mean anything when you throw it on third and 15 short behind the sticks to Debo. You throw it short on 3rd and 19 behind the sticks to Kittle. You miss a open Mohamed Sanu on a crucial drive that you needed to extend, and then you throw that crap into quadruple coverage. I'm not sure. I know the defense has had their issues, but it almost feels like the pressure of having to carry the team is getting to them a little bit, especially with all the injuries they have when the offense is not sustaining any sort of drive.
Yeah, no, I understand. And let me throw this too about Jimmy Garoppolo. If you are hypothetically a Jimmy Garoppolo fan or defender, the only things that you had in the past were he's awesome on 3rd down and he wins. Neither of those things seem to be the case anymore. He hasn't been good on 3rd down this season. He was 2019. It's awesome. But this year he has not been good on 3rd down, and that's been his bread and butter and what he can hang his hat on. And then the record next to his name. Now the 49ers are 3-5, but he's 3-4.
What was the no, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's weird. It's kind of opposite. In 2019, his statistics were rarely impressive, but again, you could hang your hat on that. Well, on the big plays, he makes something happen and he wins. This year it's been the opposite. It's like a lot of empty calorie yards, but missing
That's
on
a
the
good way
big
to put it.
plays.
No, that's a great way to put it, dude. Even to further your illustration a little bit, I know Luke was teasing me over our favorite guest, Luke, was teasing me over my Tinder illustration, but I'll give you another one. How about empty calories? If you're on a $2,000 or $2,000 calorie diet, typically most people trying to lose weight, they try to, hang on, a couple hundred calories a day under that, maybe about 1,500 if you're trying to lose weight, right? You need to spend those calories on stuff that fills you up, right? You don't go out and spend 2 or 3 of those calories on a Twinkie and then screw yourself for lunch. You don't go drink a couple cans of beer and screw yourself for dinner, because when dinner rolls around, you don't have enough left in the tank to sustain yourself the rest of the day. It's the same thing with Garoppolo. He's taken his empty calories like you're talking about. He's making the plays. He had 326 yards. They had to come from somewhere. They didn't just come out of nowhere. But when it got to dinner time and it got to crunch time, didn't have anything left. He choked. So it was just, well, hey, let's just get 1 or 2 drives going and stalling out and bring it back to your point with the Super Bowl run. They're in 2018, not 2018. They're in 2019, 2020. He not only was the team almost 100% healthy, which is remarkable. All his playmakers were healthy. Mostert, Kittle, all those guys. Bourne was playing out of his mind. The defense was bailing him out time and time again. That was the key. That interior defensive line is what led them on that Super Bowl run with Buckner and Armstead. In Bosa, of course, obviously, in the back end of that defense, they played out of their mind. And then when they needed a drive, the running game, his weapons bailed them out when the pass was always in the right spot. Well, now when Jimmy's got to go out and make something happen, he doesn't have the talent. He doesn't have the playmakers around him to dig him out of the hole that he's put them in.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think this year is really showing that it's proving the idea that Jimmy Garoppolo is somebody that if the scenario around him is fantastic, you can win with him.
Yep.
But if not, he's not somebody that's ever going to carry you to wins. And that's why they traded up to number 3 to select a quarterback. Yet they've been so insistent on playing him. It's like they know who he is, but they don't want to accept it. I don't.
No, I think what it is they've hinged this year on, hey, we're going to go to the playoffs and we're going to slowly work Trey in, and the next year the job says.
Yeah.
I think originally the plan was to trade him to New England, and they wanted more out of him than New England offered. And instead of taking it, they thought, well, we'll just recoup our value later because we just trade all these picks. We got to have something out of it. And then it got to the point where, okay, well, we're going to have to keep Jimmy. We'll put Trey on the sideline this year. We'll ride Jimmy into the playoffs, and we'll part with him later. And now it's like, well, we can't ride him into the playoffs. So where are we going? I know I make a lot of college analogies, and I'll shut up after this as far as those go. But the 49ers right now, they're in more disarray than the team I'm about to compare them to. The quarterback situation is eerily similar. Almost reminds me a lot of those early 2010s Nick Saban Alabama teams when he had an awesome team set up, an awesome run game with guys like Eddie Lacy before he got fat and out of the league, TJ Yeldon, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, guys that you could lean on in the run game, and a defense that could keep drives alive.
Yeah.
And they willed teams into submission, a la the Jim Harbaugh 49ers teams. They were going to impose their will on you, and they didn't give a crap if they only got 1 or 2 yards of carry in the first and second quarter. By the third and fourth quarter, they knew their opponent was going to crumble. They knew they were going to fold, and that's how Saban won championships. Well, then the time came around when he did have to rely on a quarterback. His teams went more up tempo, putting 5 guys wide, and the quarterbacks he had, Greg McElroy, AJ McCarron, guys who played in the NFL, they couldn't get the job done. So we see him change, right? The issue right now is Kyle Shanahan's at that same crossroad we saw guys like Nick Saban at. They've that attitude of wanting to just ride a guy who can't lead you to a win, but on paper won't lose you a game. That doesn't work anymore. Because back in the day, when you're riding a game manager, which I hate that term, but he's managing Kyle Shanahan's offense. When you're asking him to go out and win a game, you're asking him to throw 25 passes, not 42.
Yeah.
You're asking him to increase his workload from 15 to 25, not 25 to 42. And that's the issue right now. The more passes he throws, the more attempts he gets, the more mistakes he makes. And we've seen that this year more than any year. Don't have stats in front of me, but I would almost be positive this is the most passes Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown in his career to date.
To this point,
To this point.
Yeah.
And the more passes you throw, the more margin for error you have, the more mistakes you make.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely true. They're playing a lot more reliance on Jimmy Garoppolo this season, and I think it's showing that he's not somebody your team can rely on if you want to be a playoff team. And again, you think that's why they traded up to number 3 to grab a quarterback. But we just need to see that quarterback. But on the bright side, I do think we will be seeing him very soon.
I hope so. Sorry.
No, looking at the schedule, they have the Rams at home next week. And they don't win home games anyways. And the Rams are great. And the Rams just got embarrassed by Tennessee. So I think the Rams are going to go out there with a fire and trying to come back. And I think they're going to beat the 49ers. The 49ers will drop to 3-6. And then you got Jacksonville. What I mean, can you imagine a better way a better place to throw in your rookie to start the season for real? Give him the keys to the car against Jacksonville. 3-6 49ers, Trey Lance starting in Jacksonville. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting, and if you're going to call that now, I'll call this now. 49ers lose to the Rams. They beat the Jags. Vikings, Seahawks, Bengals, Falcons, Titans, Texans lose to the Rams. I think they're going to go 9-8, and they're going to ride Trey Lance through that because I think they're going to lose next week. I think they're going to put Trey Lance in. They're going to go on a run, and they're not going to make the playoffs. That's my bold prediction.
Hey, that would be awesome. Even if they missed the playoffs, just going on a run with Trey Lance, I'd be really happy with that.
It sets up for it. It does.
Yeah, I would be really happy with that. And I am someone who, as big of a Trey Lance fan as I am, before they drafted Trey Lance, I wanted Jimmy Garoppolo to become a legit star and be the guy. He just hasn't done it. So
No.
that's
Well, it's because of all his injuries, Steve. He said in the press conference his lower leg got hurt on the roughie the passer, but hey, don't worry, fans, he's okay. And then he walked off a little gimpy, so that's why he threw the interception. Is because he was injured. We talked about this before, but a good friend of ours always told me when you're playing basketball or any kind of sport, especially basketball, if you shoot a jump shot and you airball it, you don't say my bad. You take your hand and you wipe it on your shorts and say,
yes.
like, hey, my hands are sweaty. Ball slipped. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I got it. The issue with that is if every jump shot you take is an air ball and you keep doing that, they know you're full of crap. And Jimmy Garoppolo's getting to that point where you can blame some games on your injury, but when literally every loss this year, it feels like he's gotten up to the podium and said, oh, yeah, I'm a little banged up, but I'm all right. Or when somebody asks him, hey, Jimmy, how you feeling? Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
No, Jimmy, you can shut up. You're great. As much money as he's making, he's fine. It's getting to the point you can't blame everything on an injury. It really feels like that's what he's doing right now.
He did it this game. So, yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you buy into I've said this a couple weeks ago, that I have a little bit of a theory or a conspiracy, no, not really, that Shanahan, even he admitted to the media that he hasn't really gotten into a groove like he normally does play calling. Do you buy into my theory at all that he got split between two different types of offenses for two different types of quarterbacks and did half of the work for two different offenses?
I don't know about that.
Dang it.
I think you got some. No, I shouldn't say that. Repeat the question. I'll give you a better answer.
So I think John Lynch talked about they went to Justin Fields' pro day. And at Justin Fields' pro day, Kyle Shanahan was sitting there drawing up plays for Trey Lance. But obviously, the offense that you're going to run with Trey Lance is a heck of a lot different than the offense you're going to run with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think I'm starting to wonder, did he spend basically half of a job on each type of offense? Does that make sense?
Spoiler alert, I understood you the first time. I just answered it incorrectly. So here's the correct answer. The correct answer is I think there's some truth to that. And I think there's also truth to my theory. I think they go hand in hand. I think Kyle was drawing up the offense for Trey Lance. They thought they could flip Jimmy. They realized they couldn't flip Jimmy. And they said, oh, crap, we've got to ride him to get his trade value back. So we'll go back to the offense we had before. And the unfortunate part about that is there's no offense for Jimmy Garoppolo that works for Trey Lance. They didn't have time to integrate it in preseason. They didn't have time to integrate it in OTAs. They didn't have time to integrate it in fall camp or in the regular season because they were trying to get Jimmy's value back up. And in turn, they botched the whole situation. Keep in mind, with that thought, Kyle Shanahan is not afraid to play a rookie quarterback. He wanted to draft Josh Allen the year before Josh Allen declared, the year we traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. He basically, in so many ways, we're not accusing him of tampering, but he was like basically saying, Josh, if you come out to the draft, we're going to take you. That's the guy he wanted. And there's no way he would have said him. That was the guy you wanted to build the 49ers around. He would have played him as a rookie, developed him, built the offense around him, gone from there. Kyle Shanahan is not afraid to play Trey Lance, but I do think there's some legs to that. Is he built two different offenses, and then when you combine that with the fact of we read that Patriots report. I can't remember if we talked about it on the pod or not, where the Patriots offered him a second round pick. They tried to get a first out of him, instead of just taking the thing. And then when they rejected it, Patriots still got their guy, similar production out of Mac Jones now. Of course, they're content with that, but they kind of screwed themselves in that regard. And I do think that's probably what it was. They built it for Trey. When they couldn't trade Jimmy, they said, holy crap, we got to go back to our previous offense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense too. it really does seem like he's not totally committed to this offense or something, because he's in a little bit of a funk. And I know everybody's going for Shanahan's head, and I think he's had a bad year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still a Shanahan believer. And I think that my official prediction is, again, Trey Lance starts against Jacksonville and they find something special. And it goes into next year and everybody's back on the Shanahan train next year. That is my prediction.
What's unfortunate is they could have had allegedly a second round pick out of this whole deal. It's not a ton, but it's enough.
That's great,
especially
though.
It is, man, especially with the issues as bad as Jimmy played to start last year before he got hurt. But you think about the needs on this team: tackle, defensive backfield, even skill positions. Second round pick would have been awfully nice. And now you don't have anything, and it's going to get to the point where either Jed York or John Lynch or even Kyle Shanahan himself, one of them is going to force the other's hand, because you can't just keep Jimmy and his salary around in this whole dynamic. This isn't going to work. If Jimmy was offering you production in a short and intermediate field, and Trey Lance was giving you kind of like a platoon, right? Trey Lance is giving you something in the run game, something deep. You could make an argument that you could do that until Jimmy's contract comes up or you find a suitable partner. Jimmy's not giving you anything right now that Trey Lance couldn't give you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you could have had a second round pick, you could have had a third, fourth round pick, and you're probably not going to get anything out of it right now.
Yeah, no,
it feels like I'll end with this, but it feels like all roads are leading to them waiving him, because even with a 6th or 7th round pick, I don't know how many people are going to be willing to offer that, because they know they can't keep Jimmy. They know the 49ers can't keep Jimmy, so why not wait on us, cut him?
And the time to do it was before this season started, because now teams in this coming offseason, why would they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? Why would they give up a 6th round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo instead of use a 2nd or a 3rd on one of these quarterbacks in this class, because it's not a good quarterback class. The best guys, I mean, there's not going to be 5 guys in the first round again. There's not 5 first round quality guys.
There's a scenario where there's not even one.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, because nobody has really taken that number 1 spot as the top guy in this draft class. So, I mean, why would you trade for Jimmy Garoppolo when you can try to draft a quarterback? No,
you're 100% right. And the thing I keep coming back to is, even just from a dynamic standpoint, and for all we know, it does seem like Jimmy and Trey have handled, as weird as this is, really well on the outside. They could be dogging each other in the media. Both of them handled it really professionally.
Yes.
And it's like, but the thing I keep coming back to is, if the CEO came in and talked to the manager of this store, of this retail store, if the district manager of Verizon Wireless came in to the store and said, "Mr. Manager, we're going to keep you for this year, but we're hiring your replacement, and it's your job to not only train him, but watch over him and teach him all the good qualities you have and show him all the bad qualities you do, and make sure he doesn't do that." Well, that's a toxic working environment. That's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
And that's the issue here, is you could have traded Jimmy, even if the Patriots offer wasn't legit, at least for a 3rd or 4th round pick. We know there was a lot of interest from the league in an offer like that. You could have brought in a guy like Nick Foles, heck, even Ryan Fitzpatrick, if he wanted to agree to something like that, and made it clear that he is the backup and Trey Lance is the rookie, is going to be the starter. You're starting fresh. It's a new quarterback room. The rookie has the keys to the offense.
You're just the on-field coach for him. Yeah.
We're going from here. And it really, exactly. And it really feels like the 49ers just got greedy and wanted more for Jimmy. They wanted to recoup one of those first-round picks they spent.
Yeah, definitely. But a 2nd or 3rd would be great right now, because you don't have any first-rounders. So,
the
time to do it was before.
It was as soon as you made the trade. Just to reiterate, as soon as you made the trade up to take a quarterback, whether or not we've gone back and forth on this, whether they actually legitimately consider Justin Fields, Mac Jones, or it was just Trey Lance the whole time, which we subscribe to the latter. as soon as you made that trade, you had to part with Jimmy. You had to, because you knew the Jags were taking a QB. You knew the Jets were taking a QB. And you had the next one. You had you were going to get one of those three of Lance, Jones, Fields.
Yeah,
no
because
one
you
was
knew
going
it
to
was
jump
going to
you.
be Lawrence and Wilson. Yeah.
You knew no one was going to jump you because they couldn't, because the Jets
Yeah.
weren't going to pass on their franchise guy and the Jags weren't either. No matter what the story was, as soon as you made that trade, you had to have traded Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. No, I agree. It has caused a really dysfunctional situation, it seems like. And they haven't handled it very well. You know, when I was thinking of what's wrong with the Niners, that was the bigger one to me, is what I wondered about, is the Shanahan offense confusion stuff. Second, being a more on the field one that we have to at least acknowledge, is the injuries in the secondary have been unreal. I mean, losing Verrett alone was huge, but they were without Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt. I mean, both starting safeties out, and it showed. The tackling sucked. I mean, what's that backup running back for Arizona's name? You said it,
Benjamin.
Benjamin. Did you see him truck Drake Patrick and run him?
It was two guys. He trucked Tavon Wilson and Drake Patrick on that play. It was insane. And here's the issue.
It didn't even look difficult.
No, it didn't. Tavon Wilson came in at number 4 overall in the day with 8 total tackles, 5 of them solo. Drake Kirkpatrick had 3 tackles. Hufanga had 3. Norman had 2. If you're wondering what this means, Dante Johnson had 2. K'Wan Williams had 3. The issue with this is the Arizona offense was getting into the secondary time and time again, either on runs or passes, and the secondary was having to tackle everybody, and that's the last thing you need. Yeah. Your leading tackler should be the defensive line and the linebackers. Maybe your slot corner, not your safeties, not your cornerback.
And they sucked. So
why do you think they continue to stick with Norman and Kirkpatrick over just throwing Lenore and Ambry in the fire?
I wish I could tell you. I'm really not sure. I don't know if they just in their mind think these guys aren't good, but at least they won't make rookie mistakes. But if it were me, I would throw in the young guys. That's just me. But I wish I had a good answer.
I did too. Ultimately, after the 49ers lose on next Monday in front of the eyes of the nation, it does feel like that Jaguars game is setting up where let's just throw the rookies out there.
Yes.
Because going 3-6.
Put Trey Lance, put Jalen Moore, put Diamondor Lenore, put Ambry Thomas. Just do it.
Why is Hasty and oh my God.
Sermon?
But no. Yeah. Why is Hasty playing over Sermon? I'm just blanking out of a brain fart.
Oh.
To that point. And I know the Sermon deal, and I know you talked about Sermon taking 49er stuff out of his bio. We talked about that off camera, so who knows about that. But it's at a certain point, just play your rookies. Play Mitchell, play Sermon. Mitchell's already seems like the best running back on the team when Mostert's not in.
He's awesome.
Play Mitchell, play Sermon, play Jalen Moore.
Play Trey Lance.
Play Trey Lance, play Ambry, play Lenore, play Hufanga. Just be done with the whole thing and find out what you got in these guys. Banks. Yeah, dude, even get Aaron Banks.
You might as well.
You can't throw these guys in the fire like literally. I'm not saying start these guys, but they need some serious runs.
Yeah.
Because if a guy like Aaron Banks you traded up for isn't going to do anything for you, you need to find out now. If Trey Sermon is not going to be a legitimate part of your offense going forward, and a potential duo with Mitchell replacing the Mostert and Hasty or Wilson duo, as we've seen in the past, then you need to find out now. This is a situation where this draft class and all the capital they spent on Lance, it's going to be years before they have an ability to restock the cupboard, to restock the pantry. You need to find out what you got in these guys sooner or later.
Yeah, definitely so. Next Monday, when they play the Rams, where do you see the biggest issues for the 49ers? I think we're both going to pick the Rams to win.
Yeah.
Where are the biggest mismatches here?
Matthew Stafford and league leading Cooper Cup versus the entire 49ers defensive backfield.
Yes.
Darrell Henderson versus the 49ers defensive line. We can go a myriad of ways, but I feel like depending on what the interior of that line is, man, Aaron Donald's going to eat.
And
Von Miller's going to eat.
yes, he's going to play Monday. Yes.
Well, McGlinchey's out. We know how I feel about McGlinchey. Welcome to the league, Jalen Moore, because it looks like you're going up against Von Miller, dude.
Yes.
And Von Miller has not fallen off a cliff. That's for sure.
And if they swap sides, you're going against Leonard Floyd. So.
Yeah. Do you want Leonard Floyd? So Leonard Floyd over Compton, because is Trent Williams going to be out this game, or is he going to be healthy?
I hope he's not going to be out. Good Lord. I hope not.
I was just making sure he wasn't banged up this week. So Leonard Floyd / Von Miller against Trent Williams and a combination of Compton and Moore. And then on the interior, some rotation of whatever guard you can get in there, maybe Aaron Banks versus Aaron Donald. So it feels like it's going to be a bloodbath. This also could be one of those stupid games that the 49ers win, and then they think we've still got an outside shot at the playoffs. So it's
sweet Lord.
That's in the back of my mind. The worst thing that can happen is that they win this game and they think, wow, look at how the schedule sets up with the Jags, the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Bengals, the Falcons, the Titans, the Texans. We can ride Jimmy Garoppolo to the playoffs. So it really feels like it's one of those where the 49ers are going to get killed at home in prime time, or the Rams are going to drop a stupid game and the 49ers ride whatever hodgepodge of a plan has been all year. But yeah, just
go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm rambling. You fans can tell I'm depressed. But the biggest mismatch is Stafford just unloading.
Yeah.
And just rocketing one down the field and just shredding the defense.
Yeah.
That's the biggest mismatch.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's going to be interesting. Rooting for the 49ers to lose is not something that I ever do, but I will say winning this game would be the worst thing possible for them.
It sure would be.
Yeah.
Something
weird
interesting
to say.
Right now.
Go ahead.
It is, man. But something interesting is I was pulling it up on ESPN, checking these stats. ESPN currently has the 49ers at a 40% chance to win. So.
Really? Huh. I'm
the Rams
shocked.
Are currently projected at 60.1%. The 49ers are 39.6%.
Wow. I'm pretty shocked about that, actually. I'm surprised it's not lower for the 49ers. Quick shout out, because it's a depressing season, but quick shout out to the guy we just mentioned, Trent Williams, who is Pro Football Focus's highest graded offensive player in football so far this year. Props to Trent Williams. And another positive note you could take is, although the 49ers seem to be in a rough spot right now, they still have a foundation of George Kittle, who I believe to be the best tight end in football, Fred Warner, who I think is at least top 2 linebacker in football, Nick Bosa, who I think is top 3 defensive end in football, and Trent Williams, who is the best left tackle in football, and Trey Lance, who I think is going to be a stud. So that's a good foundation core of players. They just have to figure it out. And I think if Trey Lance gets if he starts against Jacksonville, this will be a great few games for him to start his NFL career. Probably lower pressure because no one expects them to make the playoffs at that point. And then next year, hopefully they can commit to that style of offense and really take off. So just a positive outlook, I guess.
No, it is, man. And I appreciate you doing that. I won't be as positive. I think with these injuries, we've seen it now in back-to-back years. That's not just a coincidence. I would seriously looking into making serious overhauls with the training staff as far as
Yeah.
strength and conditioning.
Yeah, I agree.
1 year is a fluke. 2 years when you're having major injuries to all these guys, that's no fluke. So
Yeah.
seriously look into that. The last thing they need is for Trey Lance to go off and not have a team around him.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. They do got to figure that out because those guys with injuries the last couple of years, it's been ridiculous.
No, I agree 100%, man. Hopefully we see something out of these rookies on this team. You mentioned Trent Williams was the highest rated tackle in the league according to Pro Football Focus, right? So that's
Offensive
a positive.
player, any
Offensive
position.
player. Wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising. I would have imagined it would have been Aaron Banks, considering he hasn't played at all this year and been able to make a mistake.
Hey, you start with the 100, right?
Yeah, no, you do. That's how Jimmy Garoppolo's kept his job for that long. He's always starting the game at 100. That's what Kyle Shanahan sees. So,
do you think you got a score prediction for this?
Yeah, I'll give you a serious one. I won't kid too much, but no, the keys to the game. I'll give you that. I like to hear yours. But I'll give you 3 keys. That's something I do over at GBM. Previewing Michigan game. So I'll give you the keys for this game. Key number 1, force Stafford into some mistakes, whether that's deception in coverage or just somehow being able to get after him. But forcing his hand to getting the ball out quick, not just check downs, but using some misdirection again on offense, not giving Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, and Von Miller time to get home, and not having to deliberately attack Jalen Ramsey all game. And then third is just limit the turnover game. You can't have, or I would say even just sustained drives kind of goes hand in hand with that. So we'll go with that. We went over those stats earlier. Jimmy Garoppolo driving down the field, getting empty calories. We use that illustration. Can't have empty calorie yards this game. Can't have unforced errors. So it does feel like one they're going to get blown out in. But I'll go with Rams 38, 49ers 24. Okay. But in the same way the Cardinals game didn't feel like it was a 14-point game, this is going to feel like a blowout.
Yeah, I can see it. My 3 keys for a possible 49ers victory that I don't see happening, I will say I had the same idea of pressuring Matt Stafford. Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead getting home. Rely on misdirection and outside run game. Would like Elijah Mitchell to have a big game, and get Kittle and Ayuk going because Ramsey's going to be on Debo, and Ramsey is awesome. So get Kittle and Ayuk going, who both had fumbles, but outside of that, they played great. So kind of balances it out, but they had great games also with fumble, each of them. So I think those would be mine. Get those guys involved. You're going to need it. You have a chance. And I will say score prediction. I actually don't think the 49ers are going to score that much. I know it's so I will go I'll go 34-20. A little bit lower score.
I could see that happening, man. I see that happening.
Pretty much the same thing, but slightly lower scoring. Yeah.
Rams got a better defense than the Cardinals too, and 49ers only put 17 up on them. So definitely see that happening again, especially if they can't sustain drives, man.
Yeah.
It'd be rough.
Totally agree. Well, hopefully we get to see Trey Lance starting against Jacksonville. That's it. At this point, that's what I'm rooting for, to be honest. Hopefully they can find a spark with something that really positively goes into next season. Because at this point, that's what this is about. It's about developing Trey Lance and getting into next season. Because you're 3-6 in the NFC West, or you're 3-5, probably going to be 3-6 in the NFC West.
No, we're certainly not rooting for a loss, but
you can't.
It's not going to be the worst thing in the world if they do lose.
Yeah.
Because it really feels like if they sneak out and win, like we talked about, they're not turning anything over to Trey Lance. we know how Kyle Shanahan operates. If there's an outside chance of them making the playoffs, he's going to ride any hope he's got. We saw that last year too with certain guys who played over others. So not rooting for loss, would like a competitive game, see some improvement from Ayuk and Kittle, ball security, maybe see Jalen Moore be able to hold his ground. Some things we're looking for here. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We'll leave it at that if they did lose this game.
That's right. Well, win or lose, we'll have it covered next week against the Rams. But before we really get going, Josh, can you provide us with your fact of the week?
Sure. We'll talk about having to go. The wood frog can hold its pee for up to 8 months. So I thought this was interesting. It says wood frogs in the state of Alaska, the American state, not the communist Russians, in Alaska have been known to hold their urine for up to 8 months, sticking it out through the region's long winters before relieving themselves once temperatures increase. The urine actually keeps the animal alive while it hibernates with special microbes in their gut that recycle the urea, the urine's main waste, into nitrogen. So this is what sustains the wood frog. And like I said, it holds it for 8 months. On the contrary, I can't hold it for 8 minutes. And you've been a witness to that. So really have talk about strength and conditioning, improving with the 49ers. I need to strengthen condition my bladder to imitate the wood frog and maybe stick it out a little longer.
I think we all need to strive to imitate the wood frog and be able to imitate that endurance, because that was shockingly great. And that might be my favorite fact, actually. It very well might be.
Heart of a champion.
Absolutely,
or in this case, with the frog, the ribbon of the champion.
I thought you were going to say the bladder of a champion.
Whatever you want to call it.
Either one. Well, that is it, folks. Depressing, low point in our season, but we're here for it because we are 49ers fans, unfortunately. We'll have that
next week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when the 49ers lose and we know that Trey Lance is going to come in, we'll be hyped up. But until then, that's right. Yeah, this is as depressing as it gets. Sorry for this conclusion, Josh.
That's all right. I keep cutting you off. Listen, man, I'm not a wood frog. I got to pee. Let's end this thing.
All right. Yeah. He does not have the 8-month bladder strength.
Nope.
So that is it. This has been the 49-Yard Dash podcast on your struggling San Francisco 49ers. I'm Steven. That's Josh. See you all next week. Peace out.